Hey there everyone, welcome to another edition of Movie Time with BM. It's always movie time here, and today we will be reviewing WandaVision. Just a quick disclaimer, before we start the review, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched the show yet, this is your chance to click off. And then, once you have finished the series, you can come back and see this review. WandaVision is set around 3 weeks after the events of Avengers Endgame and focuses on Wanda and her grief after all that she had been through during Infinity War, Endgame, and earlier. Wanda goes to Westview to create her dream home that Vision wanted to grow old in, and in the process, uses chaos magic to create the home from the blueprint and her memory of it. Over the course of this series, we see Wanda interact with characters that seem to be following the narrative, and it seemed that everyone had a role to play in Westview, so that nobody could really question what they were doing. Wanda gets the help of Agnes the neighbour, with everyday tasks such as deciding what to wear on a romantic dinner, helping out in the kitchen, and minding her kids when Wanda needs a break. Agnes always seemed to be around when Wanda needed her help most. We also get to see Wanda give birth to twins Billy and Tommy in an accelerated pregnancy over a course of an episode. Midway through the series, Vision starts to question Wanda on things such as why she is lying to him, what is outside of Westview, and where are the children in the town. Vision then starts to accuse Wanda of controlling everything in Westview. Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen act incredibly well in this scene and over the entire series as well. SWORD, however, being the agency that tries to put an end to Westview over the show, Wanda gives them warnings to stay away from herself and her family. The trio, which consists of Darcy Lewis, Jimmy Woo, and Monica Rambeau, alongside SWORD, are trying to intercept a transmission from inside of Westview to understand what is happening inside and how they can try to get into the Hex. After Monica got out of the Hex, after Wanda launched her out of Westview back to SWORD, Monica proclaims that it's all Wanda, and we then learn that after someone has entered Westview, their souls start to change. When the trio start to know more than they should about the secret motives of SWORD and start to question the judgment of Director Hayward, they get kicked out of SWORD operations. However, this doesn't stop them, as they sneak back in to discover that Hayward wants Vision to be online and his secret weapon. They start to unravel their plan for the Vision and start to sense a plot to invade Westview and to end the illusion of a town that Wanda has made. Vision, after questioning residents, decides to see what is outside of Westview when he struggles to push through and is breaking apart. Vision begs for someone to help him. Darcy wants to, but she couldn't, as she was chained up to the front of a car by a SWORD agent. The Hex is the key to keeping Westview alive, as without it, Vision, Billy, and Tommy, as they are all part of Wanda's reality in Westview, would all break away in pieces, which would result in their deaths. Wanda expands the Hex just before Vision broke away, and we then see when the Hex goes over, the SWORD remote setup, it turns the SWORD remote setup into a circus. Once Vision finds Darcy and wakes her up from the reality, they escaped the circus in a van, where Darcy starts to explain to Vision who he really was and starts to piece together Vision's own memories of his past self. We then see the effects of the mental health of Wanda as she gives an interview to the camera where she says that she is fine, but we can tell from her tone that she is not fine, and that she needs proper therapy to naturally mourn, heal, and move on instead of holding on to emotions. Later on in that 7th episode, we get to see after Wanda goes over to Agnes's house to try and find her kids, she heads unknowingly into Agnes's lair, where she says that she is also a witch and her actual name is Agatha Harkness, and proceeds to place a spell on Wanda's mind. We learn that Agatha is behind everything that has happened in Westview. In the catchy tune, "It was Agatha all along," we get to see Agatha using dark magic to manipulate certain events in the show to her favour. Some examples that were shown was seeing from the back of Pietro, as we see Agatha using dark magic to control Pietro. Another example is Agatha admitting that she killed Sparky. Sparky was the family dog who the family only owned for a day. Fun fact, the actress who portrays Agatha, Catherine Hahn, sang the vocals to this tune. Episode 8 was all about the aftermath of Episode 7, where we see Wanda in Agatha's lair, being questioned, where we find out that Agatha has used protective spells across her lair to ensure that she is the only witch that can use her spells, as she is the one who casted them. We also get to see a flashback of Agatha during the Salem trials in 1696, where we see Agatha being magically locked up, where she is accused of crimes against the law of witchcraft. After Agatha attempts to plead with the witches to save her life, the other witches all team up to try and kill her with an ancient kill curse. That is, until Agatha absorbs the power of the other witches and kills them all with her dark magic. Agatha starts to grow impatient of Wanda, not giving her the answers that she is seeking, and takes her through several key moments of her life. At first, Wanda tries to resist. In following, Agatha threw her spells, but Agatha forces her against her will. Some memories which bring back traumatic moments for Wanda. Some of the key scenes that were explored throughout the sequence was Wanda as a child, watching a sitcom alongside her brother and parents until the Stark Industry missile blew up their house, therefore killing her parents and leaving her and Pietro to hide in the rubble for 2 days. When they see that the second missile is beeping and about to go off, Wanda casts a spell to prohibit the missile from going off and rendering it useless. This is an early display of Wanda not knowing her powers yet. Another key moment was seeing Wanda when she was being experimented on by Hydra. In this scene, we see her enter the facility where the Tesseract containing the Space Stone takes over Wanda and could have awakened her powers through the stone. During the experiments, Wanda could see the Mind Stone in her mind when she touched the Infinity Stone in a sort of vision where she saw through the shadow of the Scarlet Witch, foreshadowing her future self becoming the Scarlet Witch. In the last flashback sequence, we see Wanda in her bedroom at what seems to be Avengers Campus, where Tony Stark had placed her in house arrest due to her being a danger after her accident where she killed innocent civilians in Captain America: Civil War. She calls for Vision to sit next to her. While they are watching an episode of Malcolm in the Middle, Wanda starts to open up to Vision, where Wanda starts to comfort Wanda by saying, "What is grief if not love persevering?" Wanda in the next scene heads straight over to Sword headquarters as we learn that the blip has just ended and Wanda returns from being wiped away from the snap. The first thing on Wanda's mind was to try and recover Vision's body and go straight to Director Hayward's office to speak with him in regards to giving Vision a proper funeral, but Hayward disagrees. Wanda then flies down to where Vision is, where she says that she can't feel him, in an emotional scene where Wanda realizes that she can't feel Vision like she used to. Wanda then drives over to Westview and goes over the house that her and Vision wanted to grow old in. After seeing the house plan with a note from Vision, Wanda starts to weep as she screams and uses her chaos magic to create her own reality. She creates the house, the town, and we then see her vision come to life. With the parts of the Mind Stone that are a part of her, she recreates Vision as well. We then see later on that Agatha is strangling Billy and Tommy with dark magic, where Agatha tells Wanda that she does not know how dangerous she truly is. She was only known to be a myth. This is where we hear the Scarlet Witch name mentioned in the MCU for the first time. Immediately following after the last episode, Wanda uses her magic against Agatha, where she realizes that Agatha is absorbing her power. After she throws a cart into Agatha, taking her out temporarily, she comes face to face with White Vision, who was programmed by Sword using Wanda's chaos magic that she fired on their drone. White Vision tries to kill Wanda by squeezing her head until her vision pushes him to the ground as Wanda gets back to her feet. As the combatants are moving out of the neighborhood and into the center of Westview, we see Monica in what seems to be Agatha's home, where we learn that who we all thought was the Pietro that we knew from the X-Men series was actually Agatha's husband, whose name was Ralph Boner. Monica can see that Ralph had a necklace that had dark magic on it that was used to control her husband. She breaks it off and Ralph begs her not to hurt him. Jimmy Woo breaks away from being captured by Hayward and requests FBI backup. While this is all happening, Agatha and Wanda resume their battle. Agatha taunts Wanda by getting the residents of Westview to beg Wanda to let them go from this reality to go on with their own lives. Wanda opens up the hex for the residents to escape, where Sword vehicles start to go through the opening of the hex. Wanda and her family fight off the soldiers when Wanda returns to the skies in an epic clash of magic with Agatha. The two visions are still clashing when they end up in the library, and Vision calms White Vision down by providing an explanation on the ship of Theseus. The original Vision then restores White Vision's memories with his own, where we then see a close-up of the eyes of White Vision turn from blue to a more human-shaped eye, where he says, "I am Vision," as he soars up to the ceiling to not be seen again. This opens up the possibility of having the Vision back in the MCU as White Vision. We then cut back to Wanda and Agatha in the sky where they are exchanging magical spells, as Wanda tries to take out Agatha, but we see her start to absorb Wanda's power again as Wanda slowly starts to look pale in the face and fingers. Agatha, while taking all of her power, goes for the final spell to kill Wanda. She pulls a Thanos and realizes that her spell isn't working. Wanda then proceeds to reveal her own magical protective runes, which, as Agatha had done to her, she took that knowledge with her and put up those spells across the four sides of the hex. While thanking Agatha for the lesson, she starts to take back her and Agatha's magic and reveals her Scarlet Witch outfit with the tiara, as Agatha accepts her defeat and Wanda spares her life and casts a spell on her to remain in Westview as Agnes the neighbor. After Wanda and Vision put the boys to sleep, Wanda knows that it's time to close off the hex in Westview. As her and Vision share an emotional embrace, she tells Vision that they will say hello again. The hex then catches up to the family home as we see Vision disappear as he says, "So long, darling." And at that, Wanda heads out of Westview, where the residents all give her dirty looks for the torment, pain, and suffering that she had put them through. She then soars away and takes one last look at Westview before she goes into hiding far away in the mountains. Throughout the series, there is a theme for each episode, such as a decade, or some even took inspiration from TV shows around that era. There was also an ad in each episode that refers to and in some foreshadows events from Wanda's life, while also potentially showing events before they happen. In conclusion, even though it was confusing and hard to follow in the start, the rest of the show picked up the pace towards the end with twists and turns along the way. Overall, I think that it is a great start into Phase 4, with Falcon and Winter Soldier only releasing now in about a week's time. If you like sitcoms, some mystery, comedy, or a bit of action, then WandaVision is for you. I'm really looking forward to the future of the MCU, with various different movies and shows to come in the next couple years in this next phase at Marvel. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button on this video, and turning on those bell notifications so you never miss any of the videos on this channel. Bye for now.